Good evening, and welcome to Hello It's Us, Perspectives on Inclusion. This program is dedicated to educating the general public about issues important to the disabilities community. And we hope that as you view it, you'll recognize that these issues are important to everyone, since people with disabilities are an integral part of the general public. Hello It's Us is brought to you through a partnership between the University of Iowa Center for Disabilities and Development, Uptown Bill's Coffee Shop, and our good friends here at Public Access TV. My name is Mike Honig. I work at the University of Iowa Center for Disabilities and Development. I'm a program coordinator there, and I also serve as a co-host of Hello It's Us. Normally, at this point, I would introduce our other co-host, Keith Ruff, but I'm not going to do that today because today he's serving as a guest in the second part of our mini-series about his book. Keith, welcome back.
Thank you, Mike.
I'd also like to welcome back our other guest, Mark Nolte, who is president of the Iowa City Area Development Group. Mark, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, both of you, for joining us. We had a lively discussion last week about Keith's book. Those of you that are regulars have noticed that for the past 3 years, that's been a topic of conversation between Keith and I talking about this book that's coming out. And well, it's out. And it's called Wheeling Through the Years. Is that right, Keith?
Yes.
And for those of you that didn't see part one, it's based on a documentary that Keith produced back in the early 2000s by the same name. We've decided that the book version is a lot more comprehensive than the movie version, but the movie version was good too. So it inspired him to produce, to write this book. And Mark, through the Iowa City Area Development Group, mentioned that he works with an organization, why don't you clarify that?
Sure.
Is Merge part of the Iowa City Area Development Group?
Yeah, so I work for the Iowa City Area Development Group. We're a 501c6 that was founded back in 1984 to help grow the economy of the local area. So we kind of serve all of Johnson County, and we help with Washington County and some of the surrounding. Merge is a space that we operate downtown to help more entrepreneurs and to do more things like this, to help the creative people in our community get their projects moving. We do a lot of events around entrepreneurship, so people with new ideas come in and pitch their ideas. There are offices there for people to start businesses, but for the book, Merge served as a place where Keith could come in and work to transcribe his thoughts, and we were able to partner with the Iowa Writers House to get the book finished and published.
Cool. So, and your son was the primary transcriber.
Yep.
Sounds like.
Yep.
Those that did not view part one. So we ended at part one talking a little bit about the mechanics of getting the book into final form. And Keith and Mark both talked a little bit about the Iowa Writers House. And between filming, Keith mentioned that the Iowa Writers House really did play a significant role in moving forward with the book, and he asked that we talk a little bit more about that. So Keith, tell us, you mentioned an event, a contact from the Iowa Writers House that really inspired you and encouraged you.
Well, when Mark gave them the raw copy, they wrote me a letter that made me feel very positive about the book and about myself. Because reading the letter, I could say, yes, I can write something.
Oh, that's great. So you were having some doubts.
Yes.
Did you know at that time that the Iowa Writers House was going to be so active in helping you get this to its final form?
No, but once they read it, they got into it.
Yeah, and I had a hunch that once they got to know you, they'd. So Andrea Wilson is the founder, and she's just a wonderful human being. And so she came to Merge one day and met with Keith, and they hit it off.
Yeah.
And she said, whatever we can do to help get this project going. And so, a lot of the details, the stuff that Keith and I didn't know, like the ISBN numbers and how all that stuff works, they were able to help us figure all that out and get the online publishing all figured out. And again, the editing, so Alex Penland with the Iowa Writers House did the final editing and put a lot of time and effort into making sure it, and then the page layouts and all the typeset and all the stuff that
And the
photographs and putting it all together, and then the cover and all that stuff that, we had a big Word document. This was and to take it to from this long document into something that could actually be printed, that's where they were really a godsend in bringing it all together.
Great. How many, approximately, do you remember how many Word pages it was?
I don't remember how many pages the Word document is. I know that once you typeset it and put it into the book size, it's about 106 pages.
Oh, okay. So it is, it's a good size, but it's not a War and Peace kind of.
No, and it's and with Keith's, the way Keith tells a story, it reads really fast, and it's great. And we were talking earlier about how important this could be for schools to use too.
Absolutely. And hopefully, we have enough connections even through our work at CDD where we would be able to help facilitate some of that contact.
That would help.
Now, we'll have that as an offline conversation, but we'll try to make some progress in that area.
And like Sarah you talked to on the phone, which is one of my assistants, she took the cover shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sarah Cooper, right?
Right.
Some
Oh.
great photographs. That was one of the challenges. She took so many great photos that we couldn't pick. So we had a couple meetings to go to pick, and finally we found a good one that's got when you see it, it's got the old Capitol in the background, because that was important to Keith. Iowa City is a big part of his story.
Sure.
And so we wanted to make sure that when you pick it up, you know that Iowa City is part. And so it's got the old Capitol Dome in the background and
Nice.
big cheesy grin from this guy.
So did you do any hand wringing when you had to decide on the photos?
Yes.
You did.
It took a lot because she had a digital camera and she took 300 shots.
That's great. Well, I'm glad you found some that are actually going to work for you.
We found there were a lot. It was hard.
Yeah.
We put them all up on a big screen at Merge, and I can't remember. We had a whole bunch of people sitting in there trying to help us. We got it from about 300 down to about a dozen, and then we picked one for the front and one for the back. And
Yes.
Awesome. So Keith, what were some of the, and Mark, jump in here too, what are some of the lessons learned? We'll start with you, Keith. What were some of the lessons learned in managing this undertaking?
I learned that the less verbiage is better. If you get to the point in less verbiage.
Oh, less verbiage.
yeah.
Oh, well, I might have a hard time writing a book because I'm kind of verbal. So getting
I am too.
getting to the point. Yeah, that sounds really important. We had a mini class one time at CDD where I work, and a technical writer was brought in, and that was one of the things that she taught me was you cannot just keep belaboring the point, but get to the point. So, especially these days, I think we're much more in an era of, sound bites and.
Yeah, 140 characters.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to be able to put it out on Twitter, though.
Right.
And I really believe that since working for college and high school, I learned to condense a lot of my writing because I had to dictate to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a good habit to get into.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I think your voice comes through. That was one of my concern, that if, as we went through editing, it might sound pretty generic, but it's you. I mean, it's the way you communicate.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that the editors really saw that they didn't make it an academic sounding,
Yeah.
That's not an easy job. I've been doing some, I guess scribing would be the word, for an individual that's going through a leadership training program right now at CDD. And writing is a challenge for him, and so he's like you, he's got great ideas. And so the challenge, I used to kind of reword things he said. And then I saw how other people, when they scribed for him, they didn't do that. They just put it in his words. And so I'm finally getting to that point where I'll start to rephrase something. No, wait a minute, that's not what he said. So, that balance between, obviously you need to edit it so that it reads well, but also that you don't take it out of the author's voice.
Yeah. And I think they did a great job.
Yes. And as many years as I've been dictating to people, I've developed patterns where I say things in abbreviated meaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Especially if they can figure it out. I suppose you developed a relationship with Mark's son over time where he picked up your code, right?
Yes. And I picked up this code.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use all kinds of abbreviations that I don't know. The language of texting.
Yeah.
Some other things. So, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this, Keith, and talk some about some of the main content, some of the things that you would want people to know that are in the book, so that they'll access it.
The main content, the main rough spot in my life was from 11 into 20. Because I had to go home. I lived with my grandmother before that. And then my family life wasn't too swell.
So that's a big part of, that sounds like that's probably part of your early history, right?
Yes. And then I left home at the age of 22 and never came back.
So you talk about that in your book,
yes.
The process of leaving home
and how frightened I was at first, but it helped. It's like graduating the high school.
Oh, absolutely.
I was at, because it was the oldest disability school. And then graduating and going into the real world where you're not a majority, you're a minority.
Oh, absolutely.
That really was a shock for me at 21.
Yeah, and then figuring out how to manage your own self-care,
yeah.
That sort of thing. Tell us, we don't want to spoil the whole book, but tell us about the transition. Yeah, I know you were born out east, right? New Jersey, is that?
No, in Connecticut.
Oh,
well, you're right.
I was at least on the other side of the country.
You're right in a way, because I lived most of my life in Jersey.
Okay. So how did you find your way to Iowa City?
That is so cool. I was driving down the hallway of my undergrad school, and there was a poster saying Iowa University looking for graduates with disability.
Really?
And here I am.
When did you come here?
82.
82. So I because I came into the program, the rehab counseling program in the fall of '84, and you were already ensconced. Yeah. Well, that was interesting because I still remember that process of getting in there. I was so surprised. I did not know, Keith, that they were recruiting students with disabilities.
I didn't either.
But, well, and so you took the plunge and came out here, huh?
And that was in early '81.
Oh, that you saw the.
Yeah.
So it did take you a little time to
Yeah.
get moved and
Yeah.
all that sort of thing.
And mind you, I didn't know it was so out here.
Yeah. Well, you do now.
Yes.
So does the book take us through your life here in Iowa City?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a very fateful poster that you happened to see one day.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to move in. Anything else you'd like to share about the content, Keith? We don't want to spoil it for the readers, but if there are any highlights that you'd like to share before we move on.
The only other unusual thing was I broke my leg, which helped me get into college originally.
Oh. So you were doing something else before you broke your leg?
I was doing telephone sales, and then I broke my leg. And that was back in '75. And then they came to me and said, do you want to go back to your job or to college?
Oh.
And I chose college.
Well, that gives a whole new meaning to break a leg, doesn't it?
But I'll just say, I mean, Keith didn't pull any punches in the book. I mean, that's you know, how, you know, the details, you know, about how you were treated at holidays.
Yes.
And you know, just, and so that, you know, for anyone who knows Keith, you know, he's one of the most positive, uplifting people.
Right.
But when you learn the backstory, you know, it'd be easy for you to be kind of bitter and, so that to me is really the heart of the story is you'd have every right to be angry and spiteful, but you've got the best personality, and when people know what you've gone through, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're telling this story because I don't know that story, but I'm anxious to read it. So, speaking of which, I believe I heard you say, Mark and Keith, that it's really, really close, right? I mean, like within weeks maybe of coming out?
Well, it would have, the day we're recording this, it should have come out yesterday, but we found a couple little things that we wanted to clean up before we hit final publish. So by when your viewers see this, it will be out in a digital format, and then they can do print on demand versions. We do have to check. We were talking at the break about making sure we can do large print.
Yes.
But I think with the digital version, it will work with reading programs and everything. So.
And it is something that will be available for purchase, right?
Yes. Yep. So you can download it or do the print on demand, and then we're working on making sure we have copies locally, Prairie Lights and Uptown Bills and stuff like that. So that's stuff we're figuring out.
We might do a reading at Prairie Lights.
Well, that would be exciting.
Yeah.
That's. Now I understand they're going through some construction issues right now too, right? Are they closed right now?
Oh, I don't know.
No, they might be internal. It's not external.
Oh.
See how we'd like to do something at Prairie Lights. I think it'd be good to do Uptown Bills too, and do kind of a book signing, and this is a big deal.
It is a big deal. So do we have a website yet, or do you at least know the place where it's going to be that people can?
I think that if I understand the service correctly, it will go to any sites that people normally use for their downloads. I believe so. So I think the safest thing to do is just Google Wheeling in the Years, Keith Ruff, and then use whatever service you might want to use.
Awesome.
The website is called Ingram Spark that we upload the book to, but I think if I understand it correctly, from there it goes to all the other platforms.
Oh, that's great.
I think.
Mark and I did all the paperwork to get it online.
Yep.
Is there a lot?
Well, the Writers House helped with a lot of it, like the ISBN number and the copywriting and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, then there's just you get into the mechanics, right? It's got to be hooked up to Keith's bank account so that he gets his cut whenever someone buys it and all that kind of stuff. So we had to go through. Yeah, it was a good learning experience. For book 2, we'll know what we're doing, right?
Yeah. That's great. So speaking of which, Keith, I know that, well, first of all, how does it feel? I mean, when you talked in part 1, you talked about the length of time that you've spent on this, and this is, not being a writer myself, I can, we talked about patience and so forth, and the things that go into putting something like this together. You just don't sit down one day and write a book. But now that you have it completed, what does it feel like to have a major accomplishment like this?
Great, great, because when I look back at all the pitfalls I went through, it feels great.
I bet it does.
It's a feeling of relief and accomplishment. I can say I did something worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, you've done a lot worthwhile. The book is just a cherry on top.
I don't know if I'd say just.
Yeah.
So, and do you have any, are you going to let it rest for a while, or do you, Mark just mentioned the book 2, so are you,
I'm thinking of writing a book on assisted help agency. That becomes, like, whether we realize it or not, there's a whole group of baby boomers needing help, and they're not going to accept going into nursing.
That's right.
Nursing home.
Well, I think it's a whole interesting, if you look back 20 or 30 years, I can still remember one of my jobs and while I was an undergrad was working at a nursing home, and if people got to the point where they couldn't get around, or that's where you went. And if you think about it already, how things are different, people are, there are all sorts of continuum options along the way now before people would get to that place where they need full care. So, obviously, you've lived a lifetime of accessing personal assistance, and I've often wondered even how I know you've worked with agencies, you work with hiring your own people, and I'm sure that advice and your own personal experience with that would be something that would be very valuable to a lot of people.
Yes, it is. A lot of the people working with this agency have thanked me for the little knowledge I get.
I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of exciting to think about another undertaking. You might want to give yourself some time to celebrate. Hopefully watch the bank account grow for a while. So, Mark, we've got a couple minutes yet, and you mentioned in the first, our first episode, the Merge is out there to help entrepreneurs and micro businesses get started. Are there any additional things that you would like to share? I'm curious, just because this is a disability-related program, and I know that you have a disability background. Do you track the number of people with disabilities that you're serving, and if so, how? Can you share any other success stories of? Well, it doesn't have to be a person with a disability, but just of people that have gone through Merge and have achieved a level of success?
Sure. Yeah, frankly, we don't track. That's not something we track. We try to just treat every entrepreneur. It's about your business idea, right? But I will say we've got a really cool entrepreneur who has just started her business in the last couple months and just moved into an office at Merge this week. And she's a U of I student. She was in a car accident and lost her left leg from the knee down. And so she has a prosthetic. And she, being a college student, wanted something a little cooler than the normal covering that goes over it. So she did some research and found out that, currently you have to go through the insurance company, you have to go through the provider of the prosthetic to get any sort of cover. It'd be like going to Apple for your iPhone cover, right? There's all these businesses that have sprung up making covers for phones. So she was like, why can't I apply the same concept to prosthetics? And so she is making these really cool pattern, like she's got one that she wears that looks like stained glass.
Wow.
And so what she wants to do is have her business be, she'll either have some really cool designs you can choose from, or you can design your own, and she'll get it 3D printed and get it to you much more affordably than going through, an insurance provider or anything like that with all the various markups. So she's trying to create an affordable, high quality, highly customizable prosthetic cover for people. And she's about a month and a half in, and she's already rocking. She's got 3D printers lined up. She's doing all that. So it's really, Merge is about helping people in the community just take their ideas to the next step. So in this case, it was a book. So that's what we think will make a stronger community over long term, is be a place that supports your creatives and a place where people can turn an idea into a business, because the economy's changing. And
Yeah. I love it that you're not tracking disability. I think it's great that you take each person based on what idea they have and helping them move that forward. So that's when we talk about community inclusion, that's what it's all about. So kudos to you.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I get to work with some amazing people, and we get to be part of the community, and it's very rewarding. And so, well, yeah.
Would you like to say where you are?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. So Merge is right in the middle of the Ped Mall. It's at 136 South Dubuque, so kind of the intersection of Dubuque and Iowa, right? College, thank you. So I always say if you know where the play structure is by the library, that's where. And we got a new front door that will be much more accessible now. We had because of the Ped Mall redevelopment, the city worked with us, and so we'll have a nice vestibule that'll have a nice graded ramp, a little more air efficient. We'll have a second set of doors. So Keith was on us through the whole process to make sure that we were keeping that in mind. So.
And if people want to access your services, what's the best way to do that?
Just come in.
Just come in.
Come in.
Are you open?
We're open every day, Monday through Friday, kind of 8 to 5. We have a website, mergeic.com. But we just encourage people to stop in and check the space out. And there's always someone there that can answer questions. And, if you our job is to kind of be that conduit to the community. And if there's someone out there that can help you, so like in Erica's case, we knew who the 3D printers were, and, we could connect her with those people. And then she has to worry about intellectual property, so she needs a lawyer to help her with that. So that's kind of our job, is to make sure there's a holistic set of supports, and then we can find people money and all that kind of stuff.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank both of you. Keith, thank you for jumping back into your host role for just a second there. That helped us get to where we needed to wind up here. So
Thank you, right?
I'd like to thank both of you for taking time out to be with us today. And I want to thank our sponsors and certainly our viewers for tuning in. And Keith, you want to close us down?
Mike and Mark, it's been a pleasure working with both of you. Mike, it's been a very great 3 years together. Thank you.
It has. And what's the closing?
What's your
greeting?
catchphrase?
Yeah.
Have a good week out there.